Tuesday. Welcome back. And you know what it means when it's Tuesday? It means the bar is open. And what will I be drinking? Today, a little Busch Light. It's a delicacy of the Midwest. You know who drinks the most Busch Light? And I know this because they're real proud of it. That would be the state of Iowa. There you go. Now, for those of you watching, I'm switching out because this one's warmer, and I accidentally opened it beforehand, and I really just wanted people who are listening to be able to hear the sound. Oh, no. Okay, now I have my colder one. It's great. So I'm drinking out of my Fish and Company, Lake of the Ozarks koozie. Drink like a fish is their motto. It's a wonderful lake bar at Lake of the Ozarks, which we'll be talking about Lake of the Ozarks in a little bit. But I like to open the show with a Dolly Parton quote, and I like to end the show with a Dolly Parton quote. Eventually I will run out, and then I will find someone else. Here's one that makes you think hard. Ready? Storms make trees take deeper roots. There you have it. I'll say it again. Storms make trees take deeper roots. A little something Dolly. Here's a little something for you from Dolly, too. If you've never heard Dolly Parton's version of Stairway to Heaven, you should immediately go wherever you get music and download that, because in the middle of it, it gets really crazy. And then I like it in songs where Dolly just talks for a while. Like, I Will Always Love You, where she'll just go, I wish you joy and happiness and all the things that life can bring. I don't know more of the words, but I know she just turns it into a talking session right in the middle of a song. And I didn't even know you could do that. And she did it, and she's made millions and billions of dollars. So take note, fellow singer-songwriters, not me, fellow of her. You know, why don't you say a little something positive in the middle of your song? More people might like it. So, as you can see on my desk, for those of you who have watching on YouTube, and if you can't, I'm going to tell you what I got this week after we did our little talking last week at the little Pubcast. I don't know what you guys are drinking. This Busch Light is delicious. It's so cheap, too. People make fun of Busch Light. Not people from the Midwest, outsiders. People on the outside of the Midwest. And you know why I like it? Because it has a fizz to it. I love Bud Light, and I really like Milk Ultra, but every once in a while you need a Busch Light to kick it into gear. That's my theory on that. So I purchased Walter Mercado's book. Yeah, I didn't even know he wrote a book. It's called Beyond the Horizon, and he's going like this. Whoops, I just knocked my mic. Anyway, he looks fantastic, and I looked it up. This was published in 1997, and he has some predictions, so we'll see if they came true, and I'll let you guys know. Walter is a spiritual person of immense talent and compassion, a beautifully written, fascinating book. That's from Brian Weiss, international best-selling author of many lives, many masters. David Carradine from Where Kung Fu. The Kung Fu series, he endorsed it. He said it was great. And then some other people we don't know. If you didn't, from the last podcast, remember, mucho, mucho amor. Mucho, mucho amor. That's what you have to go watch on Netflix if you're bored. It was great, and now all I do is Google Walter, and I wish he was in my life a long time ago, and I'm sorry he's gone. And now I want to go to Miami to see that exhibit, but I bet it's not up anymore, just to see the capes in person. And the second place I want to go is to Frida, the Blue House. I think it's in Mexico, it's a city. Casa de, what's blue in Spanish? Anybody? Azul, right. That's Paddles, the bartender, knew that. To see whose house? Frida's. Another person who I really think was super awesomely, I mean, she had a bad accident, so she was crazy with paintings and stuff, but her paintings are great, and they had an exhibit in Nashville that I got to go see, which is super weird, because her stuff doesn't hardly ever leave Mexico, and yeah, you gotta Google that. But in more important news, this week, a little embarrassing to say this too because I've been on the road for 31 years, is the first time I ever had Popeye's chicken. I don't know why. I can't remember them being around in St. Louis when I was a kid. It was more of the basics. Steak and Shake, still love it. Hardee's, meh. Wendy's, burger, chili, great. But I never had Popeyes, so I went because I heard people were beating each other up over these sandwiches. And I don't know, I passed one and I thought, you know what, I'm doing it. And I got the spicy chicken sandwich, and although it was great, kind of tore my stomach up a little bit. I'm gonna say, if you're gonna go for spicy, go for Popeyes. If you're gonna go for regular chicken sandwich, I would just go to KFC. That's a little something. And I won't go to any KFC in gas stations when it's mixed with the Taco Bell. No, you cannot put Taco Bell and KFC or any two things in the same one, because somebody's getting slighted. And the problem is, when you're ordering, I like Taco Bell and I like KFC, but something's not being done right. I don't know which one, so therefore I won't eat it. The other horrible experience, it's not really horrible considering the world, I don't think I've gone to get an ice cream since a year ago in Sarasota with my parents and nieces and nephew, but I had a hankering for mint chip ice cream, which I can't eat in front of my sister because this is all I hear. How can you eat that shit? That's for old people. What? It's been my favorite ice cream since I've been a kid. No. Remember when I volunteered at that nursing home in my senior year in high school? That's all the old people wanted, was mint chip ice cream. I can't even look at it without just thinking gross. So I try not to eat it around her because I don't want to hear that story again and again and again. So I went to a Baskin-Robbins in a Dunkin Donuts, and I ordered a mint chip ice cream cone. Once a year I get one, so how hard could it be to get it right? Well, it wasn't right. It wasn't even green. It was like gray, and I go, is this chocolate chip? She's like, no, that's mint chip. And I go, okay. And I took it out in the car, and I tasted it, and it was horrible. And why? I know better. You cannot put donuts with ice cream. And I'm not even a Dunkin' Donut person. I know the East Coast people, they'll kill for it. I don't get it. I think in the Midwest, we just have really good, regular, local donut stores. There was no reason to go to a chain. Although my friend Mike Gaffney, a comedian, did introduce me to their, one of their coffees, I can't remember, that I thought was actually pretty good, because I'm not the biggest Starbucks person either, so I'm really a gas station coffee person. Is there any of me left? Anybody? 7-Eleven? Come on. Racetrack? Speedway? All the shit's out. Takes 1 second. Boom. Use all their sugar. They don't care. You use 7 pounds of sugar. I could go in there and make Kool-Aid for 8 people. Nobody stops you. Cream? Here you go. Okay. So I did that this week. Talked to my mom. Want to know how that call went? Hey mom, what's going on? What do you want? She's not the kind of mom that you see those cards about in the Hallmark. Every time I look at those cards, I think, no, not Vicky. She didn't meet the mark on this. I said, I was just calling to see what you guys are doing. What are you and Dad doing? Well, you know what? What we're trying to do, Kathleen, is we're trying to not go in the donut hole of our medication. What? I go, what? Before I could even say what, she goes, you don't know what the donut hole is, but you'll know. I said, when will I know what the donut hole is, Mom? It's a Medicare, Medicaid. What are they on? Medicare. What do old people go on? Medicare. And then they have all these supplement plans and all this shit. And if you spend too much money, from what I gather, on medicine, you end up in a donut hole. And then after that, they won't pay anything. But if you can avoid the donut hole, you can get your stuff paid for. This is the best I can. And this is all about her having high cholesterol. And quite frankly, according to her, she doesn't give a shit, because she's never had a problem with her heart, and she's had other problems, but she doesn't care. And they say, well, if you have high cholesterol, you might have a 14% greater chance of dying within the next 10 years. And she wanted to say to them, do you think I give a shit? I'm 78, soon to be 79. Of course I'm going to die within the next 10 years. I said, Mom, then just don't take the drug. Well, no, I've ordered it. Okay, good conversation. That's it. And my dad's in a golf league, men's league. And he's the only guy requesting a separate card. So all those other old turtles out there golfing, bye, Felicia. Sorry to say it. Sorry to say it, but they're going to get it. They're going to get it. Because every golf course, there's one that I know of, had a member guest tournament. They sent out an email saying there's been a case of COVID. That's to cover their ass. What was the real number? 29. Yep. And guess how many young people are playing in member guest golf tournaments? Not a lot, my friends. Not a lot. It's mostly old turtles. That's what's happening. Speaking of which, I think we should follow up on some of my predictions with the COVID and the sports. What did I say on the last podcast? I said they reported that 2 Cardinals had it, and I said, well, then it really means 12. Well, you know what it really meant? 13. Because the rumor is some of my Cardinals, which I will now refer to as dirty birds, snuck out to a casino. Now, I don't know if that was in St. Louis or Milwaukee. I know there's a casino in Milwaukee because I got Royal Flush there. The Potawatomi Casino. I've been there many a time, and not even performing. That'll show you how much I like to gamble. I just wandered on down there on an off night. So they snuck out, and this is what I was saying in the last podcast. Baseball, they're out in the wild, and everybody forgets these people are 20-something years old. Not all of them, but most of them. They're not going to be scared of this. And hockey, so far, nothing. I don't understand it because none of the old guys coaching or managing have masks on. I think there's a bad sense of security there that I wish they'd just put a mask on. I don't know why you can't. It's cold in a hockey rink. I think a little thing would be nice. I'd probably have face warmers in it. I'm so goddamn cold at a hockey game. So now the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals, screwed Detroit, because then Detroit doesn't have a playmate, because we were supposed to play them. And then I just read that they've been cleared to play again. I don't know how. I know they had to drive some of the healthy Cardinals back to the city of St. Louis from Milwaukee, and I've done that drive a million times, and I can't even remember how long that drive was, so that's pretty lame on my part. That's what's going on. Football, UConn says they're not starting. Are they even good? I don't know. I don't know anything about college football. I've been taught by people. See, because I went to University of Missouri, not the good one. I went to the sad one in St. Louis, but I went partying at the other one. But Mizzou football was never very good, so I didn't really pay attention. And then my friend Vic Henley, a comedian who passed away, he was an Auburn guy, and then he taught me why I should hate Alabama. And he gave me a lot of good reasons to hate Alabama. I'm sure I could be convinced to hate other teams if anyone would like to start that campaign. And now I'm an Auburn fan. And then I used to say this to irritate Vic. War Eagles. There's no S, Madigan. God damn it. It's just War Eagle. I go, that doesn't even make sense. What's a War Eagle? It's an eagle or it's not. Does it go to war? War Eagle? I haven't Googled it. But I really love Auburn's colors. And Missouri, we didn't know. We got put in that. I called it the SEC. And I was immediately corrected by everyone. Whew, bad day for Smalls. It's the SEC. I'm like, what is that? It's the Southern Eastern Conference, I think. Southeastern. Paddles knows that. The bartender has a lot of different names. It's paddles for today, though. Anyway, then I said, well, are we good enough to be in this SEC? And we literally, at the lake of the Ozarks, I was watching the news, and it comes from Columbia, and that's where the university is. The sports guy came up. When we got accepted, he basically just said, listen, we suck. This is going to be a long journey. Don't get your hopes up. Everybody's too excited. He was a Debbie Downer, and we did really good that year. And then we haven't done really good anymore. Not so much after that. We just get trounced by the big dogs, We're not a big dog. Nobody's clamoring to go to Missouri when you're waiting for Nick Saban to call. Or as I like to call him, Nick Satan. But a lot of people call him that, I'm sure. I'm not the first one to think of that. So anyway, UConn, which, here's how dumb I am about college sports. I bought a sweatshirt in the Connecticut airport because it had a dog that looked like one of my old favorite dogs that had died. And then somebody said, oh, do you like UConn? I go, I don't even know anything about UConn. And they're like, why do you have this sweatshirt on? I'm like, do what? I thought this was just like a shepherd wolf. No, it's a husky. So they've quit. So there's your update basically on sports. Golf is still going on. And basketball, I guess, is fine so far. We'll see. I don't see it sticking, but 2 little things. And I don't really like celebrity talk. because I don't know who most of them are. I don't watch those channels. I don't know why I'm supposed to know who these people are, but I will say the Dixie Chicks, here's a little something, if you missed it, they've changed their name to the Chicks because of Dixie being considered, we're doing the Black Lives Matter thing, and the Dixie, implies, and then I have friends that go, does it Dixie imply to you, I said it implies a Confederate flag to me. Matter of fact, there's a store in Branson, Missouri called Dixieland, and I'm not even going to tell you what's in that store. That's how crazy offensive some of the crap I saw in that store was, but that was 10 years ago. Maybe they've, straightened it up. I don't know. But anyway, everybody's mad about that, but everybody's mad at the Dixie Chicks. And I've always wanted to tell this story. It's not really particularly hilarious, but it was shocking regarding the Dixie Chicks. So when we're on the road, when I used to have to do clubs all the time, every Thursday and Friday, whatever city you're in, say you're in Columbus, Ohio, or Omaha, you have to go in, if you're the headliner, you have to go into the radio stations on Thursday and Friday, sometimes all morning, 6 to 10. Get up at 5:30, back at 10:30, breakfast, nap, golf, show. That's how that goes. But there would always be a country station mixed in, right? And usually, I will say, out of all of them, I thought the country people were the nicest, the DJs. They were the most just easy, and they didn't give you any shit, and I don't know, they were just nicer than everybody else. Don't know why, but that's how it seemed. And then I happened to be in a country station. I think it was somewhere in Ohio. The morning after the Dixie Chicks went a little off the rails in Mother England, and the singer lady said she trashed George Bush. Now, to me, the most startling thing about that event was I don't know that they had a pre-show get-together where Natalie told the other two chicks, here's the thing, I'm going to ruin our career tonight, so I hope you all have Plan B going on. Because the looks on their faces when she started doing that clearly, I do not believe they were prepared. I do not know these people. I can't say that for a fact. But if you look at the video, they just look like, holy shit, what is the matter with you? We're going to be in so much trouble. Well, no, those ladies stood by her, so I got to give those ladies credit. But this is how much trouble they got into. I went in to do my radio the next morning, and they almost didn't even take me. They almost said, we don't want to do comedy today. But I had been there a lot, so they knew me, and they knew I would just sit there and be quiet if need be. It's not like I care. It's fine. You want me to come in here and stare at a wall? Fine. You want me to talk? Fine. Whatever. I just need free coffee and keep moving. You know what I'm saying? Because the country stations around the United States had told their listeners that the Dixie Chicks had so offended America that everybody needed to put all their CDs that they had purchased in their truck and bring it up to Walmart, and everybody was going to run over their CDs. I'm like, wait. First of all, who has the time for that? You know what I like to call those people? Unemployed. Pre-pandemic. But here's the other thing. This is where the country stations, I just go, guys, who came up with this idea as a protest? What? You're wrecking your own shit. You paid good money, cash money for those CDs. Don't run them over. Don't go to the Walmart parking lot. And they did. They lost shitloads of fans because of that. And I'll still listen to them. I don't care what people... I'm always amazed that people care so much about what people say. If they have a political view or whatever, they go, just shut up and sing. Or if I write something on Twitter, why don't you just shut up and tell jokes? Why are you so sensitive? Because here's a good example. John Voight, okay? I probably disagree with 95% of what John Voight says. But god damn it, he's wonderful in Ray Donovan. Like, I'm not going to go, well, I'm not going to watch Ray Donovan because John Voight's in it. Pfft, he's great. And he sounds just like a guy from Boston. His accent is, to me, anyway, Boston people might disagree, it's impeccable. I don't care what he thinks. Scott Baio, if he came back as Chachi, I'd still watch. Scott Baio's off the rails. in my agreement. I don't agree with Scott Baio, but a lot of people did that with the Dixie Chicks. And another very strangest thing I've seen all week. Whew, I don't know if I'd call him a celebrity, but Jerry Falwell Jr. posted a picture on Instagram on a yacht. Let's start with that. How many yachts did Jesus have? Let me count. Right, none. With some lady, he's got his arm around the lady, and they have their pants undone, and you can see his underwear, and then his belly, and then he's holding something that looks like a big glass of Jack and Coke, or maybe some sort of Merlot, and he writes, don't worry, I'm not drinking alcohol, that's a soda. And I thought, dude, that's not the problem with this picture. Oh my God, how could you look at that photo and think, you have to be hammered. That's drunk posting. And I mean, I would have never taken that photo. It's just so bizarre if you Google it. And he's the president of Liberty University, which you've never heard of. Google it. It's Jerry Falwell, his father's place. And it's this, there's pool boy things. Google Jerry Falwell Jr. So of all the times for him, he's already been in trouble here, there, everywhere. He's in trouble all the time. And I think I saw him on CNN one time. It might have been Aaron Burnett or somewhere. Lots of slurring. I'm not saying he was drunk, but sometimes if I drink too much, there's slurring going on. I don't know what I can get sued for or not, but I'd say, in my opinion, he'd had a few cocktails. Nothing wrong with that, except you're the president of a Christian university that says you can't do any of that. Anyway, go have a look at that photo. And then my other big thing of the week, well, I have a few. I have to get beyond my... Well, you know what? I'm going to do this first. I don't think I explained to you guys enough what the Lake of the Ozarks is. And I'm only going to do this. Normally, I wouldn't even care because I wouldn't think any of you would be interested. But it's trending lately for many of the wrong reasons. If you are on Twitter or just even the news, you'll see these videos coming out of Lake of the Ozarks with millions of people on lake bars and in pools at a lake bar, which you'll never, if you ever see me standing in a lake pool bar, that means I've had some sort of stroke and can't move my left or right side. Because to get me to stand at that, no one's going to the bathroom. So what's going on? We're now just standing in a toilet. I'll stand outside the bar, the pool. I'll sit and drink there. But the Lake of the Ozarks, I think because it's made, and then with the show Ozarks, and we used to go down there when I was a kid from St. Louis, and then we bought a resort, and I went to high school down there for a couple of years. I don't want to brag, but I was in a school of the Osage. I was an Osage Indian. Don't I look like an Osage Indian? Yeah, and I was on every sports team because they didn't have enough people. All you had to do was show up. I was horrible, like at volleyball, whatever. But the bus trips were fun, and I just wanted to secretly go smoke cigarettes somewhere. Anyway, and then time goes on, and that's where I have a place where I'd like to live all of the time. But it's 2.5 hours from either St. Louis or Kansas City. So when you see these things, this is what's happening. It's in the Midwest. It used to be the biggest man-made lake, but I think Lake Mead or a couple others have taken over it. It's right in the middle of Missouri. So like Iowa people, they don't have really great lakes, so they come down. Nebraska people come over, they don't have really good lakes. Kansas people, you know how many lakes there are in Kansas? None. So they come over. So it's this giant gathering place of tons of Midwesty people. Illinois sometimes, it's a little far for them. But I'm going to tell you about this lake because it's kind of fascinating, and even stuff I didn't know. Okay. And then I have another lake for the next podcast because I want to talk about it being haunted. And that's Lake Lanier in Atlanta. That's been trending too because more people. But every time they say so-and-so drowned and then they say, is it haunted? I'm like, well, did anybody ask about the liquor intake and swimming ability? Anybody? I'm all for a mystery, as one everybody knows. But sometimes I think they're just explained away by too much fireball, not enough life jackets. Lake of the Ozarks is a reservoir created by impounding the Osage River in the northern part of the Ozarks in central Missouri. The lake has a surface area of 54,000 acres and 1,150 miles of shoreline. The main channel of the Osage Arm stretches 92 miles from end to end. My parents and I are at the like mile marker 26. So you measure your miles, you start at the dam, and then you measure to the end. That's how that goes if you don't know anything about lakes. The lake was created by the construction of the 2,543-foot-long Bagnell Dam by the Union Electric Company of St. Louis, Missouri. So this is one of the ones that's not a core lake, and here's why I like that. Because when you go to core lakes, the Corps of Engineers, there's so many fucking rules. And we have a lot of rules at our lake, but not like that, not like theirs. They're all about you can't chop down a tree. Our lake, get your own bulldozer, jackstraw, do whatever you want. Nobody cares. They only care about docks. The principal engineering firm was Stone and Webster. Construction began August 8, 1929. It was completed in 1931 and reached a spillway elevation May 20th, 1931. While some sources indicate that more than 20 towns, villages, and settlements were permanently flooded to create the lake, subsequent research indicates that the actual number was closer to 8, while several sites had previously been abandoned and others were relocated to make way for the lake, or some were on high enough ground that the creation of the lake did not affect them. Now, this is in the show Ozark when they talk about pre-flood people and flood people. When I went down to high school in the Ozarks, my locker mate, who was, I'm just going to tell you, a straight-out hillbilly, she goes, "You pre-flood?" I didn't even know what that meant. So I don't know what I said to my parents. What am I being called? What does this mean? What am I being accused of? And my dad said, "Oh, she's fixing to understand if you're one of them city folk that done flooded out probably her great-grandparents or grandparents." And I said, "What? Well, then I'm just going to tell her I wasn't involved. I wasn't alive in 1931 or 29 when it was started." At the time of construction, Lake Ozark was the largest man-made lake in the United States and one of the largest in the world. It was created to provide hydroelectric power for companies of Union Electric, but it quickly became a significant tourist destination. Most of its shoreline is privately owned. Yes! And like on our docks, you can build a whole bar down there. Nobody gives a shit. You want to build a bar? You get a 2-slip boat dock, cover up 1 slip, get all your plywood, get all your shit, and now you got a bar. There's some really good ones too. Most of its shoreline, unlike many flood control lakes that were constructed by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. We already went over that. The relatively stable, that doesn't matter. There are over 70,000 homes along the lake. Many are vacation homes. It's now a major resort area with more than 5 million people visiting annually. Lake of the Ozarks State Park is home to Party Cove, a gathering spot that a New York Times writer called the oldest established permanent floating bacchanal in the country. The Missouri State Water Patrol, that's one way to put it. That's what a New York Times writer would write. You know what I'd call it? A shit show with drunks and cool boats. Now see, that's why I don't get to write for the New York Times, because that's what I would come back with. They'd go, "Kathleen, how was it?" It was great. It was a shit show like I've never seen. The Missouri State Water Patrol has estimated that the cove attracts up to 3,000 boats during the 4th of July weekend. Okay, here's a little story about the Party Cove, because I'm old enough to know. I think I may have started it. That's how old I am. And I'm also old enough to know that it moved. It's not even in this place anymore, where there's videos about it. You could go online, Google Party Cove, Lake of the Ozarks. This is a little embarrassing, but kind of funny. Hillbilly, funny. So one time, me and my brothers and sisters took the boat to Party Cove, and then we took the Wave Runner to Party Cove. It was a very long way from where my parents' house was, and the Wave Runner, by the time it got to Party Cove, the oil light was coming on. Now that's a big problem, because if you run it with oil, you're going to destroy it. Without oil, you're going to destroy it. The problem was we already had our spot in the Party Cove. You can't lose your spot. I don't care if you're going to lose a Wave Runner. You cannot lose your spot. It's hard to get in and out of without hitting people. You know, you don't want to chop somebody's head off with a propeller, especially after you've been drinking. Then the other problem is all we had was credit cards. So if we lose our spot, we're going to have to go to God knows where, but we need motor oil, because that's what a Wave Runner takes. It doesn't take some kind of oil. It's only outboard motor oil that you can get. So now what are we going to do? So we're a little drunk. Not a lot. We're not drunk, as some Southerners would say. You drunk? No, just drunk. Kind of drunk. Midwest kind of drunk. And my brother goes, I got an idea. You're not going to like it, but you're going to have to do it. Otherwise, this wave runner, we can't tow it back. We can't get out of here, and we will never make it back to there. That's the other problem. You're never going to get your spot back, and you won't even get back in the gauntlet. So he said, get on the back of the wave runner. And I have my swimming suit on, and he's pulling way, way, way back to the back of this cove where now we're getting into snake territory. And you know what else is back there? The fishing boats and the pontoon boats. And what do they have? Outboard motors. And I said, Patrick, we don't have any cash to offer them to get. I'm sure they have motor oil on board, but we don't have anything to give them. They're not just going to give us oil. He goes, yeah, they are, but you're going to have to take off your top. What? He goes, yeah, I'm going to yell at that pontoon boat full of dudes, if my sister takes off her top, will you throw us motor oil? And I said, well, you know, I've never done this, but it is an emergency, so I'll do it. But I said, Patrick, you can't look. You can't turn around. I can't have my brother see me without my top off. So he screams it, and they're all like, wah, wah. I mean, you would have thought that literally I was, you know, I don't know, some supermodel that wandered down there. This is where these guys are at, right? So he goes, on the count of 3, she's going to take off her top. You have to throw us oil. So I did it. My parents don't even know this. Hopefully they don't ever listen to this podcast. And not only did we get oil in those Pennzoil yellow things, they're not cans, they're like plastic things of oil, but we were pelted with it to the point where we had to scream, stop, we don't need any more oil. What do you think, I have 50 wave runners? I only needed 1, but and then I gotta say, it was kind of nice to get a round of applause for something I didn't even do. And I was sunburned. It wasn't like I was tan and hot. Come on now. That's how desperate those guys were, because they were in the back of the cove. During the 2020 COVID pandemic, the Lake of the Ozarks gained notoriety when on Memorial Day, a large crowd congregated at the lake. And then we did it again on the 4th of July. And today, the mayor admitted that he took those videos and put them online because he thought it'd be good for tourism. He forgot about the part that we would look like complete morons. He forgot about that. I guess he didn't care. He said the tourism went up. So, you know, maybe it did. At the end of every summer, Lake Ozark holds the event called the Shootouts. It's the biggest power racing event over the year, and it runs over a 3-mile course. And I've watched many of the shootouts in the lake because really, honestly, it's like watching car racing. You're just waiting for somebody to flip. And sooner or later, some jackstraws flips because they don't know how to drive those boats. Do you know how many people have those kind of boats? The cigarette boats, the super fast scarabs, whatever they're called. Those things are very hard to drive. And I think people just buy them, turn the key, go, and then, anyway. The Lake of the Ozarks is where I'm broadcasting from most of the time. We'll discuss another lake in Tennessee that I spent some time at too, as long as we're on the lake forefront. But since we've been trending, I thought I would just let you guys know, and now you know. That's where Lake of the Ozarks is. If you ever want to go, fly into St. Louis or Kansas City or Columbia, much closer, or even Springfield's probably further. And anyway, rent a car. Speaking of lakes and weather, I was a little upset that the hurricane this past week was named something I couldn't pronounce. ISIS? No, it's not ISIS. So then I looked it up. It's supposed to be pronounced E-E-S, Ees, A-H-A-A-H, E-E-A-H-S, Eas. What the fuck? You can't. Really, there's nothing left for eyes? How about Ike? Did we have an Ike? I think we did. So what? How about Isaiah? How about we had an Irene, I know that for sure. Ian? No, then I thought, how do they name hurricanes? What's going on there? Well then, I found out. I'm going to tell you guys, so now you'll know. During the 1950s, meteorologists realized it was difficult to keep track of unnamed storms. So before the 50s, nothing was named. And if you ever want to read about the greatest hurricane, well, not greatest, but biggest hurricane ever hit America, there's a wonderful book about the Galveston, Texas hurricane that I read, and now I can't think of the name of it. I'll put it in my show notes. I just learned what those are. I'll put it. It's a great book, and that just didn't have a name because it was back like in 19, I don't know, early before 1920. Anyway, during the 1950s, meteorologists realized it was difficult as a particular if there's more than one storm happening at a time. So by 1953, meteorologists around the United States were using names for tropical storms and cyclones. I don't even know what is the difference between a cyclone and a hurricane. Anybody? Anybody care enough to Google it? Not me. Just throw either one of them out at a bar. Nobody's going to call you on it because nobody really knows unless you're sitting next to a weatherman at the bar. And really, this all kind of started too because I love the Weather Channel. I think some of you may know I went to bat for the Weather Channel when TV replaced it with Weather Nation. No. And I called DirecTV and said, where the fuck did my Weather Channel go? And they go, we'd like you to try Weather Nation. I go, well, how did she phrase it like this? Well, why don't you give Weather Nation a try? And I thought, well, why don't you let me pay you in candy? No, you're not going to like that, are you? Because that's not the arrangement. So I defend the Weather Channel, but I will say the Weather Channel's app, 90% of the time is wrong. I mean, just fucking wrong. Not even close. And you're like, this is your only job. So then my friend Mark, who's a landscape guy, said use Weather Bug. That's an app you can download. I don't remember if I paid for it. If I did, it was less than $5, and that is accurate. And I love my people at the Weather Channel. I would love to work at the Weather Channel. I think the actual Weather Channel is fantastic. But the app, wrong. And you know what, to the point where I think, like, I was going to have some guys do some work, and then they said, no, it's going to rain. I go, yeah, I saw that. It didn't rain. They could have been here. Could have been doing shit. What if you decided I'm not going to take the boat out? Okay. And then, no rain. Okay, so the World Meteorological Organization is responsible for developing the names for both Northern Pacific and Atlantic storms. They use 6 lists of names for Atlantic Ocean and Eastern North Pacific storms. These lists rotate every 6 years. So here you go. You want to hear the 2020 hurricane names? Here's what's in store for the rest of our year, because this year hasn't been completely bonkers enough. What we want to do is throw some hurricanes in the mix. We're already to I, which we all know I can't pronounce. Asisaha. We've already gone through Arthur, Bertha, Cristobal. Cristobal. I don't know. Dolly, Eduardo, Faye. Well, doesn't that just sound so southern? Faye's coming over. She's bringing fruit pie. I heard she made some sort of dill dip that's fantastic. You take fried pretzels and shove it right in there. Gonzala, Hannah. In the Midwest, it's not Hannah, it's Hannah. And then 9, Asisaha. Here's the ones that are left. Josephine. I've never seen a Kathleen. Pieces of shit. Weather World Meteorological Organization. So we have Josephine, Kyle, Laura, Marco. Who do you think's going to be the big dog? Kyle. Nah, maybe he's not tough enough. Nana, that's 14. Really, Nana. They picked Nana. So little kids are going to go, why is Nana throwing trees at our house? What were they thinking? Omar, Paulette, Renee, Sally, Teddy, Vicky. There's one for my mom. Not spelled the same way, but she'll take it. And knowing my mom, I'd say you better watch out for number 20. She can be all that and all that. Trust me. Number 21 is named Wilfred, like Burnley. But they don't really say who gets to pick these names, where they're picking them from. It's just a bunch of shit, as far as I'm concerned, because there you go, though. Now you know the secret. Oh, and here's another little something. If a hurricane is super bad, the name gets retired. Like, if it's not super bad, there'll be another Bertha, there'll be another Arthur, there'll probably be another Isaha. There will never be like another Katrina. They retired the name, which is, kind of a thing. But anyway, here's the most important thing. Well, I'm going to sign off with a mystery, too, because I really like this calendar my parents gave me, and then I go through, I've done more research. But I watched a thing. Now, this has been out for a while. It's called Project NIM. For the record, I like documentaries. I don't talk about these things enough because I really don't know that anyone would care. Hold on, I'm going through to my Project NIM notes. Yeah, okay. I don't like science fiction. I've never seen a Star Wars. I know. And if you say that like at a party, people look at you like you just said, I shit my pants and I can't get my pants off. It's a look of horror, dismay, disbelief. I'm like, look, okay, so it sucks I haven't seen Star Wars. I just don't have any desire. But I think I've made up for it. I've seen Jaws 84 times. I've seen Rocky at least 50. So there, I made up for, I usually like documentaries or something that has something to do kind of with something, I don't know, but not, the only thing I'm not into James Bond. It's not my thing. Love a good documentary though. This is called Project NIM. I'm gonna tell you a lot about it. I'm not gonna ruin it, because believe me, I could talk for 7 hours and it wouldn't be the same as seeing this shit show. Project NIM is a 2011, I don't even know, British documentary focused on Project NIM, a research project that was mounted in the 70s. And let me just tell you, every single thing I read, I'm going to have my friend Lewis Black call in because he's old enough to know this shit. Everything I read that is freaky, strange, or left field was done in the early 70s, which means the hippie people from the 60s did their weird shit in the 70s. Like, all of this stuff that happened, I cannot see any of it happening in this day and age. But the 70s, the music was all over the place, this kind of shit. So it focused on Project NIM, a research project that was mounted in 1970 to determine whether a primate raised in close contact with humans could develop limited language based on American Sign Language. The project was centered on a chimpanzee that they named Nim Chimpsky. That's his official name. And if you go to the IMDb page, and I know a lot of you won't know what that is, IMDb, it's something, International Movie Database, I think is what it stands for. But if you go to that, they tell you the breakdown of the movie, and they actually have him listed as an actor. And right there it says cast, Nim Chimpsky, self. Okay, Jesus God, people. So I thought, yeah, I'm in. I want to see this shit. Here's the controversy, and then I'll tell you why. In 2019, Herbert S. Terrace, and this guy is a piece of narcissistic bullshit that anybody that isn't in some Ivy League school could look at and go, no, dude, we know what you're doing. He led the research on NIM, published a book on why chimpanzees can't learn language and only humans can. There, he explained how he perceived the documentary Project NIM as mainly an ad hominem attack on himself. Well, of course he does, because he's a narcissist. So if you criticize him, he's a victim instantly. He stated that the allegation that he'd returned NIM to the primate colony as a punishment for failing to learn sign language is untrue. Well, not when you see the movie. Besides, Terrace criticized how the documentary represented a complete failure to present the scientific background of the work done and its theoretical significance. Well, here's what happens, people. Literally, I had to watch it twice. It's that unbelievable. So it's 1973, and there's this lady working at the college, and she's not young, but she's not old, somewhere in the middle. And this guy, this Herb, we'll call him Herb, we'll call him Herb. Herb gets a grant. Start with that. Midwest people, well, at least the people that I know, I didn't even know what a grant was. I'm still not sure, except my grandma's sister married a grant, and I have a lot of cousins named Grants. The Grants, and they're great. They're a lot of fun. But I don't know. I wouldn't know. How do you get a grant for research for what? Like in the Midwest, I wouldn't even have known. If I would have known I can get a chimp and live with it and see if it can communicate, I would have applied for that grant. That's before that Travis chimp ate that lady. I didn't realize how strong they could get and that they could kill you with just one paw. Is that what they're called? Hands? Paws? I don't know, chimp paws, whatever. So this guy calls this lady and says, will you let this chimp live with you? And she married a man who had like 3 kids, and she had 4 kids, or together they somehow had 7 kids. So they let Nim, the little guy, and he's only like this big, like tiny, like maybe a 1-year-old. That's like the size of a baby chimp. And they let it just go, literally fucking bananas. And I don't mean bananas because he liked them. He did learn how to sign banana, if you believe that he learned, or maybe he was just mirroring or mimicking. I don't know. I don't even understand why you would want to take a chimp from the wild and try to make him be a person. I mean, nobody's taking me and throwing me in a jungle and making me learn chimp. However they communicate. Anyway, this arrogant guy, he calls a former student. She has 7 kids from a marriage with this other guy. I don't know whose kids are who, but there's 7. Nim is 2 weeks old, and he's already like this big. Okay? You can't see my hands, but I'd say he's probably 2 feet tall, and he's 2 weeks old. Like a baby, but he eats out of a bottle, and he's supposed to have a diaper on, but he doesn't. And where do they take it? Where do you think a rich hippie would live? In a brownstone on the Upper West Side of New York. That's where they decided it'd be a good idea to put a baby chimp and then let it see what happens. So this lady, this former student, and she's a little bit older, okay? She's supposed to be taking notes and doing all these structured things, but she doesn't. She decides it's her baby, basically, and treats it like a human. And it's just in the house causing shit. But the kids kind of like it, but you could tell the one daughter in the show's like, yeah, there was no family discussion. It was just like, oh, Nim Chimpsky is going to be coming to live with us. And then you go, who's Nim Chimpsky? And then you find out it's an actual chimp. And I'm sure if you're a little kid, that's very exciting. If you're a kid that's probably over the age 13, you've probably heard chimps can get up to, 200 pounds and eat your face. So exciting for a little bit. Anyway, they get it high. They let it have drinks. I mean, it's off the charts. But then the professor guy, he blames it all on this, but this isn't why. He found this hot 18-year-old, and he decides he wants that lady to teach it sign language. And he also, at the same time, because he got the grant with Nim, he gets a house that's some professor's house up in Riverdale, which is a fancy part, and it's on a 28-acre estate, and he moves the girl in, and she's supposed to do all this stuff with Nim. She actually does know sign language and all this stuff. But then he ends up going, we did end up in a relationship. Oh my God. He's like in his 40s. You can tell he's that guy. All the people he hired are totally hot, and they're all women. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just weird they all ended up being women. No, it's not weird if these are the ones you want to sleep with. That one lady who was cute, Nim got a little bigger, and he bit a chunk of her face off, and she quit, which I thought was pretty smart, because I think a lot of people would go, he went like this, sorry. He signed sorry. Well, not enough, Nim, when you ate my face off. And it went down to the bone, like a chunk. You can still see the scars, so you know she's not lying. And I thought, wow, okay, so in the 70s, there was a chimp running around a 28-acre estate. And I have all kinds of notes on this because, can't believe it. They let it run around. And then another lady came in, and she said, this is not a controlled experiment. So they decided Nim can't be running around this estate all day without a diaper. Then he's in the house without a diaper. I can't even imagine. Like, they don't really put him in a cage. They're sleeping with him. I mean, this shit is off the hook. It's like Melanie Griffith's mother had lions and tigers, and she didn't know what you did. Google Tippi Hedren. That's Melanie Griffith's mother. But anyway, the new lady comes in, and she says, this shit's out of control. Now, the hot 18-year-old hasn't been fired yet. She's still in the 28-acre estate. This lady's like, Nim needs some structure. So then they take him in. They decided they'd take him to school, like, I don't know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And they'd put him in a control area, and they try to teach him sign language. Then all these people get on board with trying to teach Nim sign language. And the question is he learning it or is he mimicking it? To which I say, does it matter? You're sitting in chimp shit. That's what's happening. you're sitting in chimp shit going, Nim want banana? I don't understand the point of this, except that I guess if you could get it to talk, that would be like earth-shattering. But you couldn't even get him to, he kind of signed, but then it's words. It's like my friend Bob Zadie used to have the joke. How come my dog can understand out and eat, but he can't understand, do you want to go out to eat? That's language, when you can put words together, not just mimic words back. So they say. Anyway, so they start doing all these experiments, all this stuff with Nim to try to get him. And then he hires more hot people and more hot people. And then this gets so confusing. But then the experiment runs out and Nim hasn't really, but the whole world, this guy got all kinds of attention, like 60 Minutes, some national show in Canada came down because Nim could do like 4 words, so he was a big hit. I think I may have remembered being a kid seeing it on 60 Minutes or something, because my dad was like, wow, you all need to watch this, there's a chimpanzee that knows sign language. I'm like, in Missouri? No. He was in New York. He wasn't in Missouri. Although I do know that Travis the chimp, who unfortunately ate that lady's face off and stuff, he was born in Festus, Missouri. There's another little feather in our cap. We created Travis the killer chimp, and we got his ass out of Missouri as fast as we could. You could see the look in his eye. I'm sure they knew, that one's gonna go Maine, and it did. Anyway, now I have to keep track of this. Okay. So then they decide, okay, we can't, Nim's not catching on, and they give him to this experimental lab. And then they're doing really mean things at this lab. And that was when animal testing, I don't know when the whole thing about chimps or whatever, when that stopped or started or whatever, but this lawyer came in and said, I will argue on behalf of Nim to get Nim out of here. And he was going to bring Nim into the court to testify as himself, as Nim Chimpsky. And the judge said, there's no way I'm going to let. So this lawyer took it to the ultimate extreme, made Herb look like shit, which Herb should have looked like shit. Okay, this whole project was so Herb could get famous or laid or both. He probably was shooting for both. If I could have hot chicks teaching him sign language, he can talk. Perfect world for Herb. Well, Nim didn't really do it. So they finally bust him out of the lab, and they find a place in Norman, Oklahoma. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Right, that's where Tiger King shit went down. I don't know what's going on in Norman, Oklahoma, but now I want to go. They take him, and this lady, because this is where Nim's going to live for the rest of his life, and she's like, well, I can tell you right now, Nim doesn't know how to be a chimp, and Nim's going to have to get his chimp on, and Nim's going to have to do chimp things, and then she made him work. She's like, the one, Layla loves dusting, like she had all these chimps doing chores around the house. So somebody vacuums, like there's videos, it's in the movie. This is unbelievable. One's got a hose, and then you see Nim's out in the yard with a shovel going, what the fuck? I used to live on a 28 acre estate in Riverdale, and now I'm a slave. And he's got a chain on him and all that shit, but she claimed that, she's the best way to go. Then the people from New York went down, and Herb went down for a photo shoot. He stayed one day and left. And that was just, he just wanted a photo op. Once again, narcissistic Herb. And when he even says in the interview, I got pretty far with him with sign language. Herb didn't do shit. The kids did it. The 18 and 19-year-old hot chicks, they actually did teach him words. He couldn't put them together, but he could say, the way your dog will bark at the closet for a treat. No, the dog's not going, but we know what it means. So it's probably good enough. Anyway, Nim didn't have a very good time there. So then this one guy decided he wanted to rescue Nim. And how did we get Nim out? And then he found that those people, bad people, went away. I forget, there's a part in there I forget, but Nim ended up, because he was alone, he went to a different ranch in Texas. They found a different ranch. And then those people, they were very nice, but they didn't know how to take it. It was for hooved animals that had been neglected. And then they bring this chimp in. They don't know what they're getting into. Well, then those people sold it to some other guy, and then he got more chimps. And then Travis got a girlfriend. I think her name's Layla. I forget. Not Travis. Nim got a girlfriend. They brought in a female chimp and another chimp. And so he had company, and the last 5 years of his life, he had a happy life. But when you watch this documentary, there were so many things in there that I just went, well, no. Like in the Midwest, no one would. Not that we're better people, but we just would not have let this go on this long. Where you've got a chimp, because he attacked, oh my God. The one lady, the nice people in Texas, they said, well, we couldn't tell what he wanted and he looked so sad, so we let him in the house. Their real home. Well, they had a poodle, like a medium-sized white poodle. Nim didn't like it. He threw it against the wall so hard he killed it, and there was blood all over the wall. That's what happened to the poodle. And then after he did that, he got pissed off, I guess, because he killed the dog. He probably didn't mean to. He doesn't know his own strength, that he threw a chair out the window. What? They have the power of like 7 men. I don't know what people are thinking. I really haven't had that much fun watching something in a long time, though. So I think you should watch Project Nim. There's a little picture of him, too. He was cute as a baby. And sometimes he did behave sometimes. And they would apologize after he ate like half your face off. Or if he accidentally threw your dog into a wall and killed it. All right. I'm not going to do a mystery. Well, I'll do it. It's fun. I don't know how long I've been talking, but my parents bought me this. It's 2001 Unexplained Mysteries from the History Channel, so I believe every word of it because it's the History Channel. And they were not responsible for Megalodon. We'll talk about Megalodon some other time, but I believe 90% of the things I see on the History Channel. These are just any kind of unexplained mysteries, and I've read a few. It's all over the map. I'm going to start on January 1st, because why not? Do any of you know what day it is? Not really. Do you know the date? Not really. This is about, now, once again, this is kind of in the field of, this is more South America. Walter Mercado, the Maracaxi. Ever heard of them? Described as a group of large ape-like creatures found primarily in the jungles of South America. The Maracaxi, or Maracaxi, I don't know, have often been called the South American Sasquatch. Though many accounts have been documented of interaction with the Maracaxi, they were perhaps most famously encountered by British explorer and archaeologist Perry Fawcett, who recounted his experience with a group of Maracaxi during his travels in 1914, saying they lived in villages and used rudimentary weapons. Well, I don't think that's a Sasquatch, if it has weapons. I think that's a person. It's hairy. Very hairy person. And I want to believe in shit like this, but not yet. The Maracaxi were described as being very hairy and ranging anywhere from 2 to 6 feet tall. 2? 2 feet tall. Maybe they had babies. With some reaching heights as tall as 12 feet. Accounts detail 5 main types of Maracaxi, including the Mateus, who have been described as helping wildlife and having feet that face the wrong way. What the fuck? How can something walk if its feet are facing the wrong way? You can't. Well, I guess you could, but you'd never know where you're going. Thank you, I'll be here all week. My grandpa would have loved that joke. That's a mystery. And you know what, I Googled it because I wanted to tell you guys more about it, but there's really not that much more. There's a Twitter site, #Maracaxi. You can follow that, #Maracaxi, Maracaxi, I don't know how to pronounce it. If you want to find out more about this ape-like creature. It's all over South America, apparently, either helping wildlife or some of them, they say they have bows and arrows, rudimentary weapons. It'll either shoot you or help you. I don't know. And you'll know it because you'll see a thing walking towards you, but you won't see its face because that'll be on the other side. Maybe I'll do that when I'm retired. Go hunt for a Maracaxi. Just so you know, they're all not animal things. There's people that disappeared. They're really good. But it's just a little something I fun to do with my day. And I also got a magic 8-ball. So I'm going to sign you off. This will answer questions when we don't know the answer. Is it Maracaxi or Maracaxi? Well, oh, it says, my sources say no. Well, That's broken. That didn't work. All right, I think we're gonna close out with a Dolly Parton quote, like I promised you. Well, that's too simple. Not really. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And remember the first one from today, before we go. My favorite. Storms make trees take deeper roots. All right, kids. I gotta go. I gotta go tell the guy to turn the lawnmower back on, because I paid for it. Paid good cash money to have that grass cut. Sometimes I do it myself, but not this week. Busy watching Project Nim and buying 8-balls, not cocaine, actual magic 8-balls, and drinking Busch Light. It's a full week. Eating shitty Baskin-Robbins from a Dunkin Donut. That was unbelievable. Yes, it's mint chip. Well, why isn't it green? I don't know. That's the color ours is. Well, yours is fucking wrong. I didn't say that, though. I just said thank you and paid for it and left. I didn't even return it. That's the Midwest part. You just, whatever. You just got mildly screwed. And it was $3.16. I think that's a little bit high for a sugar cone and 1 scoop of fake mint chip. If it's fake mint chip, it should have been like $1. All right, guys. That's it. I'm going to say night-night termites because you're all my termites, and I think you remember why. Why? Because it's a term of endearment that Ron White likes to use, and he told me I could have it. So I'm calling you all termites. And you can follow me on Storytime on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. You can TikTok me. I won't understand it, but you can. You can Snapchat me. I don't really know how to answer. I only can answer my mom and my nieces. My mom will do it, which is pretty funny. All right, that's it, termites. We'll see you next time.